Hello dear students, welcome back to Chinmoy's YouTube channel. So in the previous episode we have already discussed about the plant kingdom or kingdom plantae. So if you have not gone through that video, please go through it so that it is easier for you to understand this animal kingdom also. So today's lesson, as you have all seen the slide, it is kingdom Animalia. So please do subscribe to my channel. Try to stay tuned with my channel so that you keep on getting the updates which I am posting regularly. So let us start with kingdom Animalia. So what are the learning objectives of today's lesson? So at the end of today's lesson, we will know how to classify the kingdom Animalia into different phyla and on what basis we are classifying this kingdom. Now we will have a brief introduction of all the phyla with examples and characters. So this will be just a brief introductory episode. If you are not going through this part, you will not be understanding the next part when I am coming with details of each and every part or each and every phyla of animal kingdom. So try to stay tuned in this video to get the full overview of kingdom Animalia. Now, what are the main characteristic features of kingdom Animalia? So, kingdom Animalia is having general many characteristic features. That is, the first one is all the animals under this kingdom are multicellular and they are eukaryotic organisms. Now, in plant kingdom, it was compulsory that the cells were having cell wall, but in animal kingdom, they do not contain cell wall. They contain only cell membrane. Now plant kingdom all were autotrophic, that they were making their own food for their need and they were storing that in the form of starch in their body. But in animal kingdom, what is the difference? They are all heterotrophic and their mode of nutrition is depending on others for their food. Now here the plants they were not motile, so they were not able to move from one place to another. But animals, they have the power of locomotion, that is they are mobile, so they are having motility. Is it clear? Now they showed increased sensitivity through the nervous system. So as the animals are having well developed organs and well developed tissue system, they are forming the organs which are helping the increasing their sensitivity through the nervous system. So this thing we were not having in the plant kingdom. So this characteristic features are the main important characteristic features of kingdom Animalia. So now we are going to classify this animal kingdom into different phyla. So on few characteristics or on few bases we are going to do this classification. So what are the bases? We need to know that. Basis of classification. So what are the main bases of classification? When we are studying classification, we should know on what basis they are classified. So the first one is the organization. So organization, we all know that they all are multicellular. Okay, so animals are all multicellular, but their body cells may be modified into tissues and organ system and may not be organized into organ systems. Like animals such as sponges, they don't have organ system. They are not modified into that level of level of organization. That is, these are cellular level of organization. Now when we move on to animals of higher level, they have tissue level of organization like acoelomates, pseudocoelomates and coelomates, that we will come in the next slide. So they are having an organ level organization. Now next comes the body symmetry. So what is this body symmetry? This term means that dividing the body into equal or identical parts. So amoeba and sponge are asymmetrical. So when we are dividing their body, no matter in which way we are cutting, the two halves will not be the same. So amoeba and sponge, they are asymmetrical. Now when we come to the next category, that is starfish, which is Cnidaria. So Cnidaria, it is Cnidaria, a starfish which is radially symmetrical. So what does this term radially symmetrical mean? This term radially symmetrical, what does it mean? It means that a line which is passing through the center will divide the body into two similar halves. So that is radially symmetrical. Asymmetrical is whichever part you are dividing or you are trying to cut the body into halves, it will not be divided into same equal parts. But when we are moving to this radially symmetrical, so when we are drawing any line or dividing the body into similar halves, passing the line through the center. Now other animals are bilaterally symmetrical. So what does this term bilaterally symmetrical means? This is the body can be divided into two similar halves only through any one plane. It is not like that through any center we are dividing, it is dividing into two halves. No, through any one plane, that is bilaterally symmetrical. So this is the second part of classification, second basis of classification, sorry. So next comes the third one, that is it depends on the body cavity. So what is this? What does this body cavity means? So this body cavity is actually, what is that? It is a cavity between the body wall and the foot canal. So this body cavity is actually, it is absent in the acoelomates. So it is absent in the acoelomates and present in the eucoelomates. So body cavity in the roundworms is it is not a true body cavity. So it is called a pseudocoelom. That is, it is acting as a cavity, but it's not a true cavity. It's not a cavity between the body wall and the foot canal. So basis of classification, you just remember on what it is depending. First is the organization, then is the symmetry, next comes the body cavity. So if you remember the basis of classification on these points only, it will be easier for you to memorize all the categories of phylum with each characteristics. Now next comes the fourth one, that is the embryonic layers. So what are these embryonic layers? The first one is the ectoderm, the next one is the mesoderm, and the third one is the endoderm layer. Now sponges and cnidaria, they do not have the mesoderm layer in their embryos and are called diploblastic. So the animals which are having all the three layers, they are called triploblastic. And animals which are having only two layers are called diploblastic. So two layers means ectoderm and the endoderm. So they do not have this mesoderm layer. So they are called triploblastic if they are having three layers, and they are called diploblastic if they are having any two layers. Now we will move on to a bit details of this basis of classification. So is it clear till this one, students? So if you are having any problem, please write in my comment box so that I can come up with the answer your queries in the next video. So when we are studying about the basis of classification, we should not forget these two also. What are these two? These are actually, the first one is actually the notochord. So what is notochord? It is mesodermally derived rod-like structure formed on the dorsal side during the embryonic development. So when the embryo is forming, it is a mesodermally derived rod-like structure. So animals with notochords are called chordates, whereas animals which do not form these structures are called non-chordates. Now if we are taking this also, we can differentiate the animals and the classification will be much easier. So next one comes the segmentation. So segmentation in higher classes, you will read this in details in 11th standard when you are studying this classification, that the body is externally and internally divided into several segments, so which with a serial repetition of all these organs. So for example, we can say that in earthworm, so earthworm we can see the visible segments of the body. So earthworm, and they are mainly this segmentation, the phenomenon is called metamerism. So for 9th standard it's not so important, but you should know this term, metamerism. So this is the segmented body part. So the metameric segmentation is the body shows this pattern of segmentation. So this is called metameric segmentation. This is called metameric segmentation. Okay, is it clear? Now we will move on with the details of animal characters and with the details of classification of animal kingdom. Okay. Now here we are starting with kingdom Animalia, and we are starting to divide it on the basis of their cellular organization. So cellular organization, when we are telling that organisms with cellular level of organization, that is under this category we can take the phylum Porifera, that is sponges and cycon. Now this is again, this kingdom Animalia is divided on the basis of tissue level organization. So when it comes to tissue level organization, we are dividing them into three main parts, that is acoelomates, we can say that acoelomates, pseudocoelomates and coelomates. So acoelomates means they are having no body cavity. And pseudo terms means that is false. they are having false body cavity, and coelomates are having true coelom. So kingdom Animalia, on the first basis of classification on the body organization, it is divided into two parts: cellular level organization and tissue level organization. So cellular level organization is only phylum Porifera, and tissue level organization again gives rise to three parts, three groups: acoelomates, pseudocoelomates and coelomates. So again, with this each and every category we are going to study in detail. So the first one we'll discuss in the next slide, acoelomates, the next part in the next one, and the coelomates. So we'll all take each and everything and details we are discussing in the next video, in the next slide. Now when it comes to acoelomates are also divided, again they are divided into two types. So they are multicellular organisms, we know. Now when they are having the second category, you just think, we have told they are dividing each of them into with the embryonic layers of tissues also. So these multicellular organisms in acoelomates, the first part, they are having ectoderm and endoderm both, that is they are diploblastic. Okay, so they are having two layers of tissues, that is ectoderm and endoderm, and this is dividing it into the phylum Coelenterata. Okay, so this phylum is called Coelenterata. Now another part, that is that these are flatworms, mainly the second category is flatworms, and they are having three embryonic layers, that is triploblastic. So in the previous two slides back we have discussed that diploblastic means they are having only ectoderm and endoderm, and triploblastic means they are having ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Okay, they are having three layers. So this is triploblastic, they are bilaterally symmetrical and dorso-ventrally flattened. So these are also called flatworms. So this flatworms, they are under the category of Platyhelminthes. So acoelomates are divided into two categories. One is Coelenterata and the next one is phylum Platyhelminthes. So under the Coelenterata, what is the example of Coelenterata? Hydra and Obelia are the example of main two examples of Coelenterata. So when we are going with the characters, we will read in details. This is just a tree diagram where I am trying to discuss it into under the body organization, body cavity, embryonic layers, and under the symmetry, how we are dividing. So next is this Platyhelminthes, they are mainly tapeworm and the liver flukes. Now next comes that acoelomates, the next part is the pseudocoelomates. Okay, coelomates and pseudocoelomates. So let us move on to pseudocoelomates. Now when we come to the pseudocoelomates are also triploblastic, and they are bilaterally symmetrical parasitic animals. So parasites means they are depending on others for their food, for their living. So these animals are bilaterally symmetrical. So bilaterally symmetrical means that their body is divided into two similar halves when they are divided through only one plane, that is which is along the middle axis. So we are dividing the body under the middle axis, they will be divided into equal halves. So this under this category, the pseudocoelomates, we will take phylum Nematoda. So what are the examples of Nematoda? Ascaris and Wuchereria. This Wuchereria, when you have studied about the disease you are studying about, so you will study a disease called filariasis. So that is caused due to Wuchereria, bankruptcy. Ascaris also, it's a type of worm. We will study in details about all these characters. Now let us move on to the next category, that is coelomates. So coelomates means there is a body cavity, coelom in the body, right? So under that also we have divided under many categories. So coelomates, coelom is formed from the mesodermal cells from a single cell during the growth of embryo. It is the first category of coelomates. So when this coelom is formed from the mesodermal cells from a single cell during growth of embryo, that is under that category, what are falling under that category? Phylum Annelida, phylum Arthropoda and phylum Mollusca. These three are under this category when the mesodermal cells are formed from a single cell during the growth of the embryo. Now another category is when the coelom is formed from the pouches pinched off from the endoderm. Okay, so when it is formed from the pouches pinched off from the endoderm, it is again divided into two categories in that case. So what is the first category? That is the notochord is absent in that category. So notochord exclusively the free living animals like the marine animals, they are having, they don't have the notochord. So mainly these are marine animals and they have the category of echinodermata. So that is echinodermata. And where the notochord is present, that is again the chordata. So that we will continue in the next slide again. So there is a huge classification of many phylum into subphylum and all. So we are going to learn in details. This is a mere description of the kingdom Animalia division of into phylum, different phylum on the basis of organization, on the basis of what the body is classified, that is organization, symmetry, body cavity and embryonic layers. So is it clear to all of you? So just try to go through my video, go through any of your books which you are following, and you will get it easily. Now this is the category, previously it was non-chordata, so they were all under non-chordates. Now here we are taking this chordates or chordata, animals which are having organisms with true coelom, and notochord is present. So what is notochord is present means? That is this notochord, in adult state this notochord is in the first part, notochord is very rudimentary, so that is called the protochordata. So the first one is called the protochordata, where the notochord is very rudimentary, that is present at least at some stage of life but not throughout the full stage. Like marine animals, so we can give example of Balanoglossus, Hardmania and Amphioxus. Okay, so these are the examples of protochordata. But there is another subphylum, that is vertebrata. So vertebrata, that what happens to that? The notochord which is being replaced by the vertebral column when they are growing to adults. So these are notochord is replaced. Here the notochord in the first part protochordata, they are very rudimentary. So we have not divided the subphylum protochordata in different groups. But whereas vertebrata, they are having many groups. In general, we can categorize animals under that vertebrata or the subphylum vertebrata. We have divided that into different groups. So let us come to the different groups of this vertebrata. So what are the different groups here? The first one is the group Pisces. So that is Rohu and seahorse under the group Pisces. Next comes group Amphibia, frogs and toads. Next comes the group Reptilia, snakes and tortoise. Next comes Aves, pigeon and ostrich, and next comes Mammalia. We all know that mammals, right? Rat, tiger, elephants and all. These aves are mostly birds. Reptiles are, we can say snake, tortoise and all. You know amphibians, but we should know the characteristics, how they are differentiating from other part of other types of vertebra, and they are having distinct characteristics which are differentiating from each one of them. So what the Pisces are having, amphibian is not having, reptilia is having, aves is not having, what mammalia is having, other four groups are not having. So there is a distinct differentiation between all these, though many characters may match, because they are all vertebrate and they're all notochord is replaced by the vertebral column when they are in the adult stage. So many characters will match, but other characters might not match. So this is how we are classifying animal kingdom, this huge animal kingdoms, into different phylum, subphylum and groups. So let us see in just what we have done today and what we are going to do in details in the next slide. So in today's episode, we have discussed about the important characteristics of the invertebrates. That is, we have discussed about Porifera, we have discussed about Cnidaria, we have discussed about Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, and Echinodermata, and on what basis they are being divided. But with all this different this phylum, we are going to discuss in details in the next episode, where we will take each phylum and we are going to discuss its characteristics with examples in detail. We will take Porifera, we will take Cnidaria, we will take Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca and Echinodermata, and that with characteristics, with examples, with all the main things which are going to be discussed for your 9th curriculum. I'll discuss everything in the next episode. So we will be discussing about the non-core data as well as the core dates. That will be in the next episode. So stay tuned. Try to stay updated with all my lessons which I am posting, dear students. So for that you need to subscribe to my channel. If you are not subscribing, you will not be getting all the updates which I am posting. So thanks again. Thanks for watching my video. And if you are liking my video, please do subscribe to my channel, and please do share it with your friends so that they can also get benefit from my lessons. Thank you.